Welcome to the Week 8 Around the Arc Superlative Show. I'm your host, Joe Catapano. As usual, alongside me, no Stucky this week, but we still have Connor, Greg, and Ryan by my side. We're going to switch it up a little tonight. We're going to do two things that we normally do and then two new things. We're going to skip Best Game of the Week because even if it's not unanimous, I'm going to take the reins and say No Limit versus the Brotherhood was the game of the week. I don't care if you don't agree. That's the game of the week.
Sure, it's not Flint sometimes why?
It's not Flint sometimes why. Corn dogs though. There are no corn dogs. No Limit Brotherhood. But we're gonna start off with best team of the week. We'll keep it normal there. So we'll start right on the end here with Connor. What was your best team of the week? What team stood out to you?
Yeah, it might be surprising to some people, but I'm going with the team that lost, and I'm picking Redemption as the most surprising team. I was really low on them, and I even called them out as a disappointment in past weeks, saying how they haven't lived up to their expectations and how they haven't looked like that championship caliber team that we saw last year. But this week, against a Monstars team that's arguably the best in the league, right up there, top three, they showed and they competed literally to the final seconds of that game and showed everyone that, hey, we're still Redemption. We can still compete with the best. And I think that was a really good thing to see.
Absolutely, Greg.
It's kind of a weird one, but my most special team was the Brotherhood. And I know they lost, but I just think, I think about an old saying my grandpa used to tell me is that the only way you build character is by losing. And I just think that watching them lose a game, coming off, losing twice in a season after they didn't lose for 3 straight seasons, or I guess they didn't play for a season, 2 straight seasons, but I just liked the way that they took a loss, they seemed composed. I mean, I know the whole grill rah-rah incident happened, but it just seemed like the Brotherhood have that look and that focus, and that a loss only builds to that momentum and focus and the anger that they have, and I think that that's really going to benefit them come playoff time.
Yeah, no, I agree. We have 2 losers, though, on Best Team of the Week. Ryan, do we have a winner down there?
Yeah, I'll break that trend. And I'll play a little devil's advocate because I'm going to go with No Limit. Losing does build character, but so does winning in a really close game in crunch time. And that's exactly what they did against a Brotherhood team that was coming into this matchup probably with a chip on their shoulder because No Limit took their spot atop the power ranking. So Brotherhood gave them everything they got, and No Limit still pulled it out. So definitely agree with Greg. A lot of fight and grit from Brotherhood, but I think it's even more impressive that in spite of all that, No Limit won.
Yep. And when there's great games, there's going to be some great individual performances. They came plentiful this week. There was a lot of good ones, but for you three, what was your best individual performance and player this week in Week 8?
Yeah, for me it was Connor Daly from Team Moose. He was unbelievable, and I mean, all over the court, not just in any one department. He was flirting around with a quadruple-double, probably the closest thing we've had a quadruple-double all season. He got 24 points, 9 assists, 8 rebounds, 7 steals. And he even threw in 2 blocks in there just because, Team Moose gets blocks and steals. That's like it's their business. So I thought it was a really well-rounded performance, to say the least, about Connor, and he was unbelievable tonight.
Absolutely. Connor picking Connor. Greg, what are we going with?
I'm going with Ty Sands. And in the words of Stephen A. Smith, he is a bad man. He is underappreciated in this league, and I think last night they really showed who he is as a player. I mean, he was guarding Mike Davis, and he's played maybe 4 games in this league, and he had to go against arguably the best player in the league and an MVP candidate every single year. And he was passing the ball, he was driving. I think he only missed 3 shots. He really added a different level to the No Limit team. I mean, you know about Jalen, Howie, Rel, you know about all these players, but when you see Ty get in there and him fly, I mean, he might have the best hops on their team, which is just really scary.
Yeah, I agree there.
Connor went with Connor, and Ryan's going to go with Ryan. It was a blowout, but Ryan Caggiano of the Flint Tropics, I mentioned it in the postgame, but came into the game averaging 5.7 points per game. He scored 29 on Tuesday night and 7 threes. And he finished 7 for 14 from 3, but the majority of the shots he missed were in garbage time when they were up by 70, and he was just probably trying to pad his stats because he knew he was having a career night. So he was unbelievable from 3. Really speaks to the balance of the Flint Tropics. So he was awfully impressive.
Kind of disappointed with Greg here. You didn't coordinate. You couldn't pick Greg Langston this week. Connor, Greg, and Ryan on the pick. We're going to shake it up a little now. Something I don't normally do, but with the playoffs kind of looming, there's some teams that are kind of scoreboard watching at this point, and there's some teams below 500 that maybe with strength of schedule have a kind of a lesser record in the standings than maybe the character of their true team. So I want you each to pick a team below 500, has to be below 500. That's kind of your sleeper pick. A dark horse is Joey Zacco lifting the Run TMC jersey back there. That's not my pick. I'm not picking anything, to be honest. But Connor, we're going to start here with you. Who's your kind of sleeper pick that's under 500 that might be able to make a run in the playoffs in a couple of weeks?
I think it's the bad boys. They made some additions to their lineup to the past few weeks, and even though they've had some struggles, especially this past week, not getting the win, but I think that they can rebound and really get their pieces together and be a team that could be a sleeper, knock off one of those higher seeds in the playoffs once they come around.
Greg?
As much as I hate to do this, I'm going to go run TMC.
Get off my show.
No, but I just think that out of all the teams under 500, if I had to pick one that I trust the most, not necessarily to win, but I trust the most, it'd probably be the team with Will Hudson and John Rulin, just for those two players.
Yeah.
I mean, the Bad Boys have Trey Blake, who I think is probably an all-star. He's a bad boy, no pun intended. But
Pun intended.
but I mean, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the experience with Run TMC. I mean, I just feel like their schedule's hard. They played hard teams. They've really, it's been a learning experience through the season. And when you face a team like that as a higher seed, they come out hungry, and a higher seed might overlook them, and that could be a formula for disaster.
All right, I respect it.
I'll go with the 3 and 5 Goon Squad. They've lost some tough games, and they've had really short and sometimes no bench at all. So if they can get their group here, down, for this last week of the regular season and into the playoffs, they'd be a tough out. You have a guy like Brandon Massaro, who wasn't here this week, and they still won, but he can facilitate. He can really shoot the three. And there are not too many better finishers in this league than Matt Marconi, I think. And when you need a big bucket in crunch time and he gets the ball in the paint, it's more than likely going to go in. So I like Goon Squad to maybe pull off an upset or two in the playoffs.
Yeah, and you're picking a team that's been around since last summer, so a lot of experience there. That's not a bad pick. You're going with experience too, and you like some new guys, so definitely some under 500 teams that could be a dark horse in a couple of weeks. My last question tonight, without Joey's permission, I'm going to appoint you each. You're going to be a general manager of your own team. You're starting a new team next season. Which one player are you building your team around?
If I'm a general manager, I'm going to pick the best general manager, and that's Joey Zacco, in my opinion. The commissioner with full power. I'm playing on court 1 every day. Oh, man, I can't pass that up. But in all seriousness, I'd probably take Greg Langston. I think Greg's a bad man, as Greg's been saying all night, and I think what makes Greg so special is that he's a big body who can also score outside. So when he has to, he can use his physical advantages down low. He can really bang. He's really nifty in the post. But he has such crafty touch, and he can facilitate for his team and hit outside shots. So just a complete player. He set the scoring record. He set the three-point record. And it's not a bad pick going with Greg Langston.
And Greg, who are you appointing who are you building your team around?
If I was a GM, I would pick Terrell Vargas. And I would pick him, his career stats are 19, 8, and 4. Plays defense, and mainly a reason is he's a leader on and off the floor. A lot of the times I'll watch No Limit, and he has a different feel to it, and he's won an MVP before, which, I mean, the stats, numbers don't lie, but I just feel like he brings something to the table that a lot of players in this league can't, with how when he drives to the paint, there's not many people that want to step up and get in front of that. I mean, it's like a train going just straight through you, and it's kind of funny when you think about it that, he's picking Greg Langston, I'm picking Terrell Vargas. These are big dudes that can still shoot, right. And I think that's the difference when you pick players like that.
Ryan, where are we going with? Who are you building your team around?
Carmine St. Aureli. I feel like in this league you can get size. You can get some people with size, but a guy like Carmine who fills every column of the stat sheet, I mean, he had a triple-double on Monday, and we barely talked about it just because it's kind of come to be expected. So if I can get someone who will always find the open man, will give up an open shot if someone has a better look, even though if he took the open shot, it would probably go in anyway. He also grabs rebounds, he plays defense, and if I need to pick one player in this league with 5 seconds left and I need someone to get me a bucket, I'd probably pick him.
It's not a bad pick there, and it goes to show how deep this league is. Yeah. Just think about the names you left off there. Reggie Stewart, Mike Davis, Jalen Graham, who has an MVP. There's some really good names. I like your 3 picks, but definitely a lot of honorable mentions there. But that's going to wrap it up for our Week 8 Around the Arc Superlative show. I had fun with this one, changed it up a little this week. Okay. Next week, we're going to have a kind of playoff picture-related Around the Arc Superlative show, so you won't want to miss that. Check out all the power rankings, this and that, on legacyleagues.com this week. We'll see you next week for the last week of the regular season.